So I am asked a little bit as to why I'm collecting these million pennies, why I keep buying them after I have 1,235,000 whatnot. See, I'm transporting 66 boxes right now from where I first staged them to the studio, the basement area. I'm asked, what am I thinking I'm gonna find, blah, blah, blah. You know, I think for the most part, this was intended for a therapeutic reason. I fractured my C6 vertebrae earlier this year, right at the beginning of the year. And I've been on a medical leave of absence since March. March is the last time I worked. Worked in a neck brace and it didn't go too well because I have to wear hard hats. I do communications. You know, even though I was scripting, running around inside the compound, and my partner was doing most of the lifting and heavy work, you know, and he's a dear friend of mine, and he's got 13 years on top of me, you know, almost 50, you know. Anyways, I took some time off, and I had the opportunity. There was a sale of a house, blah, blah, blah. I had the opportunity to do this small investment in February when it was mentioned that the pennies were gonna cease in circulation. I took it pretty serious. The old boy mentioned it, you know, because he's been moving on what he does. Anyways, well, it's May 23rd, when it was actually put into order that no longer were we going to be punching any planchets. That's when the U.S. Mint actually stopped punching the planchets. It was the 23rd of May. I, hit it hard with a couple friends. We started in February, actually started hitting it hard to two of my closest friends, and just done about 100-mile radius throughout Salt Lake, from here, including Salt Lake. You know, it's about 55 miles to the average bank that we were hitting from here where we were at. So those two guys, they ran around faithfully day in and day out picking up boxes while I was picking up boxes here, with them, here and there for the most part. I was in probably the worst data condition right then and there. But I also pinched a nerve in the C6, which leaves my left shoulder a lot of pain. I'm feeling a little better now, but it's physical therapy and neurology and blah blah blah. Anyways, what do I think I'm gonna find? The biggest part of this is doing it, is having the fun. I'll go back to work, and do what I gotta do, but I want to find that one interesting penny / coin out of a million pennies in circulation while they're still out circulating around. This is my one time to do it. Let's see what one penny I find. Let's see what one coin pops out. Value? Not necessarily. Sure, it's gonna be great, but as for authenticity of it, that's gonna be interesting. I want to see what we find. My two buddies are back at work themselves, so I'm just plugging along, doing this as I can, hauling 66 boxes. 64s, but I initially got 160,000. Then I grabbed two stragglers. These two boxes you see off the side. Yeah, one of them was dropped, obviously, and one of them also was probably dropped, but the lid was open, so those are off the side. So I got 66 boxes on me right now. And anyways, there's, I think, let's go to value. I think the 1982D small date would be awesome to find. Am I going to find it? Going through more than a million now, but in the million, I'm gonna at the million mark go through and see what the best finds were at the million mark, and then continue on. With what I'm continuing. I'm still getting. Now I'm down to 4 boxes a week. I just stuck with one bank, so I'm good. I don't need to run around and get $1,200, $1,600 orders, $3,000 a month, like we were. Don't need to be doing that. And then why did I not use my business license and just order a Loomis order, which I could have, no problem, and get a big chunk at once? Because I feel like maybe possibly it would be better to go through and get them in the progression of time. As people know, pennies are doing this. People are going to be cashing in pennies that don't care about dates, don't care about, they're just looking for Wheaties or whatnot. You know, even if they are just looking for Wheaties or not, people are just cashing them in. They're still sitting there in boxes. So that's probably one that I think would be possibly the close AMs, wide AMs, close AMs, you know, the 89, 88, 89, 90, the 90 or 2001 mule. That would be an awesome coin. That's probably the fruit of the loom, you know, right there. Let's see, what else would be nice? Of course, the 72 double dice, 69, 68. The double ears would be great to find. You know, I'm not looking for no floating grills because that's just a hub, not even really airs when they're cleaning up the hub there, the die, and they buff it too much, and it's pretty common. No FGs, cool. All your DDOs, DDRs, TDOs, whatever possibly could be found, you know, would be nice. I really like a mule, would be cool, but I think the 82D small date copper planchette is a way cool. You know, it would be feasibly, possibly something, you know, in the neighborhood. 1955, not so much. I was reading, going through, looking to see what if anybody sat down with a million pennies and went through a million pennies all at once, not in a progression of time. People have hit it in time. You see that on social media all the time. Yeah, I'm at 1 million, they're past a million, and they've gone through. But at once, having the bulk load of a million pennies and going through them, you know. And obviously, I am gonna look in. I made a mat, Pension Pennies mat, Never Numismatics, one I created with what I felt, going through the books, going through whatever research I've gone through, what would be the key dates, mints by decades. I went by decades, so it's easier to find. Put it aside, go through the boxes, put it aside, put it aside, put it aside. You know, then go through and loop them out. You know, scope them out. As for really getting intricately with it, you know, there's some I made, but the million pennies is a lot of time to go through. You know, I mean, I'm sure that, I could break my neck again and be healed in that matter of time by the time I'm done with the million pennies. Just gathering them, I'm starting to feel better now. I mean, I'm able to move it. I'm able to do, you know, look around. But anyways, what I'll most likely be going through and doing, pulling them key dates out that I'm looking for, that I have on my map, putting them aside. After I'm done with a certain amount, after it gets so far along, then I'll go through and scope them, bam, 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 start looking for them. You know, looking to see, you know, what we find. But as for the most visual, you know, blurred DDOs, yeah, absolutely. But I am new at this still. I mean, I've been collecting pennies pretty much my whole life, but I have not numismatically been consciously aware of all the errors. In the 90s, when I was going through coin rolls and boxes, I was looking for the silvers. I was just looking for the silvers, a few key dates out of those coins, a few key dates out of the pennies, the wheat cents, you know, buffaloes and nickels, mercuries, barbers, whatever, and dimes, yada yada yada, walkings and quarters, you know, of course the half dollars. You know, it gets expensive when you buy them per box at a time. But I wasn't looking for these double dies, looking for, you know, 4 over 5, 1 over blah blah blah, whatever. Those specific ones is what I was looking for. Never got into it this deep. So as the more I get into it, I look into different sites. I subscribe to different, you know, Connecticut. Started reading about Wexler and how Wexler started, and, you know, and what to look for there. Daniel with coin help you. He's really thorough. I really like that guy. You know, he's someone I really look into, and he explained it. And I like that. Looking at, you know, through different sides of people who actually understand what they're looking for, not just, you know, saying this penny's going to get you $1 million, this quarter's worth $30 billion, you'll be never work again if you find this. Yeah, okay, whatever. You know, it's actually really detailed information in there of what you need to understand. You know, I mean, there's so many different mints, times, and different hubs that they switched out on, hub scratches that you have to look for, and counterfeits. I'm going to find counterfeits. Oh my gosh, that's going to be neat to see my collection of counterfeits, you know, and just stuff like that. You know, it's interesting, you know, and I'm learning at the same time y'all are learning, and there's people who are super savvy with this that I sure hope that they give me their 10 cents worth of advice, so to speak, you know, and don't look down on me because we don't know the ones helping me. I'll find people that, you know, they're going to be super savvy with this, but then they're my two bros, you know, I brought them into this, and they're like, okay, let's do this. But you know, they're learning. They've been searching since April, trying to get the information. We're slinging stuff back and forth. I'm buying books, doing all I can to, you know, get this information in my head. A little bit of information overload, to be actual, you know, to be truthful with you right now, is what's going on with me. You know, setting up ripping everything out of the basement and creating that into just a studio. That's what's going on. That's my rental. I bought a place, 5 acres in a place in Duchesne in Utah, and it's completely no power, no water, so it's off the grid 100%. And when I first was walking around down there, I had 4 bars, but as I got to where the actual trailer is, and in the trailer, I'm lucky to get 1.5 bar inside there. So there I have to get a booster. I have to come up with my water retention system for the gray water, bring in my water. You know, granted there is a tank there. I do have the ability to bring it in to pay for it, you know, but then I have to set up my pumps. I have to weatherproof it. My stepbrother, he was just telling me, he lives right around the corner. He was just telling me that last year we had 7 feet of snow. Therefore, it explains why the place there, the roof caved in on it, and it's been sound for the past 35 years. That 7 feet of snow, you know, with no one living there. That's what happened. And my dad and my uncle, my auntie, they all, before I bought the property, all went down there and they TPO'd it up and set it up. So I wanted to do the whole off the grid solar power setup, but then that alone cost that much more money. It's 150 miles from where I'm at here with this rental, and I'm renting a place here, so I'm not going to pull the plug here. It's just not it's not feasible right now, expense-wise. So I chose not to do that. As we go forward, I may just go ahead and start doing the off the grid and start doing this as I get more comfortable with this YouTube and stuff. And you know, I signed up with Sean Cannell, the VRA course, to understand how to properly do this. Bought a laptop, gaming laptop, which is still in the box. I haven't even opened it yet. So this here is just going to go up like it is. I'm just doing what a lot of these. I go through all these different people. How do you do YouTube? Blah blah blah. What's the best way? How do you make your thumbnails? Yada yada yada. Well, I'm just going to do this, set it up, and as I learn, they'll get better. They'll get better in time. And I just want to show my experience going through the million pennies, and I did go a little splurgent, and I bought a bunch of miscellaneous items, old comic books, old stamps, old coins, so I can give rolled coins that have never been searched through. The Indians have an Indian on one side and flying on the other. You know, imagine there's going to be 48 Lincolns from 40s and 50s. That's what I'm noticing, but I haven't opened them, and I'm going to keep them. I paid between as low as $30 and as high as $70 per roll on these auctions, you know, and I plan on just sending them out at doing some kind of giveaways, you know, for the people that are helping me out, for the people that guess right. You know, I want to come up with a little way of doing this where, you know, maybe you can guess the amount, yada, 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 and hey, you nail it, I'm going to send it. You know, stuff like that. Just a participation, you know, I see how that works. You know, I just want to involve people, you know, and want to make this YouTube work for me. Like I said, I'm in pretty bad shape. I'm still going to end up going back to work, but, you know, regardless of this, I'm going to do what I have to do. All right, I apologize for that phone call. Anyways, what I figure would be the best thing is just to go through them, just to do this. You know, I did get the LLC for an epoxy company. You know, Pension Pennies is set up to do flooring, epoxy. It's really set up to do anything. It's an LLC. That's the bottom line. You know, we can use it for this, and then I can maybe do some cool tabletops, some cool, you know, murals, something. I'll figure something out with the zincs that are of no value. Those are the ones I'm going to bury first. I'm going to keep the copper, of course, for the fact that copper's copper. And yeah, you know what? I'm just going to do this. I got to unload these 66 boxes now, get them down in the basement, but I'm showing you guys that too, just so y'all can see it. And as we get cruising along here, I hope y'all enjoy this, and you can interact with me and, you know, give me some tips on some things. And I know I went a little overboard buying all sorts of stuff, lights, you know, different, I got 3 different tall mop loops, digital loops, bought 3 different ones, different sizes, all the way up to 10.1, all the way down to I think the smallest one I bought was a 7-inch. But, you know, I just went out and done what I done. But anyways, I hope y'all enjoy this, and I'll cut and edit this to the makings, and thanks for joining me. All right, obviously I didn't finish what I was saying here. I got sidetracked with the mats, yada, yada, yada. But I looked into if anybody sat down with a million pennies and actually looked through them and what they're looking for. And in 1958, a husband and wife did so, looking for the 1955 double die, which they did not find. That's the 55 double die. If I find it, it's going to be a counterfeit. I do not believe it's going to be in a million pennies. I do not believe it's going to be found in circulation like this. Yeah, it'd be great to find it, but multiple people have been through a million pennies in a matter of time. In a period of time, they've been through a million pennies. But as for just chunking up a million pennies, having a million pennies right there and doing it, the only time I know somebody sat and done it is in 1958. I was working with these guys up in Park City, Utah, and this fellow's from Texas, and he told me that one of his fabricators, his welder, was on his final payments for his child support, and he owed it wasn't the child support, it was a judgment against his wife had against him, blah blah blah. Anyways, it was like $13,000 judgment, and so he lost it. He had to pay her. So what he done is he got that all in pennies. He ordered it, you know, a lump sum. It was like $13,000 in pennies, and he put it in a steel case and he welded it shut. And he had a forklift. He brought it in on her front lawn, sat it down, and that's how he paid her. Needless to say, she turned around, took him back to court. He didn't pan out well. He had to pay her in cash, and he had to take the $13,000. So as of earlier this year, the little old man is sitting. What he was saying is they had some little old man come in and sit and go through them and just looking for whatever he's looking for. He's not documenting it or nothing like that. I did ask about that. So I know that old man there's same amount, $13,000, you know, worth of pennies. Whether he's through them or not, I'll have to reach out and find out. But the only time I know that it was documented, sat down, documented, was in search for 1955 double die, and that's 1958 by a husband and wife.